Howdy folks, Robert O'Brien from O'Brien Guitars. I'm here with Thomas from Virginia, actually living in Colorado now. And we're going to be bending some sides this morning. I usually don't film this. However, Elaine Seep down there in Tennessee said she can't get enough watching people bend. And so I'm going to show her how I bend my sides here in my shop, and you're welcome to join along here. What we've done to get to this point is we have thicknessed the sides. We have tapered the sides. We know what's going to be the back, what's going to be the top, and we know what's going to be the neck and what's going to be the butt. And we also know what's going to be on the inside and what's going to be the outside of the guitar, because you can still make that judgment call. Thomas here has made that judgment call. So I'm going to let you just take one of these, and I'm going to give you a spritzer bottle. I do like to spritz. And just point it towards the ground here, if you would. Just come in and spritz that thing for us. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need moisture to bend. But I have been known to use a little bit of moisture every now and then. There you go. This is where you can get yourself in trouble, by getting two left sides and two right sides. Here on my bench, I've got a form that I got from LMI that we're going to use to build the guitar in. I've got it oriented on my bench with the neck going that way. On my other bench, which you'll see here in a minute, I have my LMI bender also pointed this way so I can keep my bearings straight. So I place it on here, and to me, it looks like I need to push the side that way to go down at the waist. So I'm going to come in and just place it right on here like this. And as long as we're bending, we might as well put the bindings in there. So grab your spritzer bottle. However, this is all in grain. All of that figure is in grain. So just a very light spritz is all it takes. I like to bend this stuff as dry as possible. Whoa, look at that flame maple pop. Isn't that pretty? Okay. And we're going to just place that in the sandwich. So we're making a bending sandwich here. And you can see we don't have a lot of excess here, do we? Right. All right. So I've got a piece of spring steel on my bench. I've got an LMI long blanket, silicone heating blanket. I've got a side, and I've got some bindings. And we're going to come in and just roll this up like so. Roll this up like so over here. Good. And then I like to come in and put a marker. What do I do with my marker? See my marker anywhere? There it is. I like to come in and put a line at the waist so I know where that needs to be. And there it is right there. Good. Okay. Then over the top, we're going to put a small blanket. Elaine, you getting all this? Small blanket. Here we go. I put the pigtail at the waist. Right like that. That marks our center line of the waist. Good. And then another piece of spring steel over the top of that. Good. Now, to measure the temperature, I put the thermocouples in there. And I have two of them because I have two blankets. The first one goes under that small blanket and in contact with the wood right at the waist. Good. And then I put a little clip on there to keep it from coming out. Good. And then the other thermocouple goes in contact with the big blanket, which is on the bottom and in contact with the wood. And I put that close to the waist, but a little to the rear of that. And then I come in, clamp that. So we now have what's known as a sandwich. So let's go over to the bender and we'll show you how to bend it. All right, here we are at the LMI bender. We're just going to stuff it in there like that. And the reason why we put the pigtail here at the waist is because that tells us where we need to be here. This is a dread guitar, so there's not a lot of excess. So we'll make sure we don't get too far off of that center line there. Let's come in and put a little hurt on it there. And you can almost bend that dry or cold because there's really not a lot of stress there. Your stress point is right there and a little bit right back here. So I'm going to hook these blankets up to the power source. Down here, I'm going to run it up to about 3 1/4. That's my magic number because it's Monday. If it were Tuesday, we'd probably be doing a different measurement, but 3 1/4 seems like a good measurement for a Monday morning, especially since it's cold today in Colorado. There we go. Now the green switch puts the power to the box, and I forgot to plug this guy in. There's our thermocouple. He's going to measure our temperature. We're at a nice cool 73 degrees, and the red brings it out into the blanket. So you'll notice that number starts to slowly climb there. And once I get to about 240, 250, then I start working my magic. And while this is heating up, I'll tell you a little story. I was sent the prototype years and years ago by LMI, and they asked me to do a video. So I had the everything turned on, and I'm turning around and I'm facing the camera. I said, all right, boys and girls, anytime you have a heat source in your shop, be careful, blah, blah, blah. Safety speech, right? You got to do that. And I turned back around, and there's smoke just pouring off of this thing. And cut. What was happening is that the spring steel was brand new, and it had a thin coat of oil on it. And so that was just cooking off. So no harm, no foul, but it did get my attention. So if you look really close in that video I did years and years ago, you might see a little smoke coming off of it there. So we're going to let this climb up here, and there's no reason for me to keep the camera going, so I'll just turn that off. All right, so I'm looking at about 260 now, so I'm going to go ahead and start working my magic. And what I do is I come in and just give it about a turn about every 5 or 10 seconds. And obviously I got a little air bubble or something in there with my thermocouple because it's dropped back down to 230, but I know it's not 230. I know it's warmer than that. So just let that climb back up. Then every 5 or 10 seconds, come in and give it, half a turn, 3/4 of a turn or something. And usually by the time I hit 3 1/4, I'm usually done or very close to being done. Because you don't want to spend a lot of time in the bender here. The drier it gets, the more brittle it becomes, and it's real easy to just have that sucker crack. Now, like I said, the dread is not very pronounced there at the waist, so you can almost just bend it with no heat at all. And we're getting real close to being done there. See how I'm not dilly-dallying? Now, when it bottoms out, you can feel it bottom out. And when it hits, I could probably get another half a turn out of there. But you don't want to do another half a turn, because I've seen people crush the side and crush the bindings and get them about half as thick as they should be in that waist area. So there we go. We're finished, and we're right at 295. So I'm going to go ahead and just shut that off. Now we're going to set up to do the upper and lower bout. So what we do is I take the, you can go ahead and grab yours there, Thomas. Grab this with the bolt up and the wooden dowel facing in. Just place it right over the top like that. No, you had it right. No, you had it right. Spin it back around. There you go. And then we're going to just set it right up on top there. Now what we're going to do is take this pin, and you're going to thread the needle. You have to thread it through here, come out through here, and then thread it through back over here. And I usually try and give the student the hard side so that he takes a little longer than I do on my side. There we go. Good to go. Yeah, I did finish before the student. Look at that. You got it? All right. Now, this is going to help us roll these sides down. And right now, it's just freewheeling. See that? And so I take a wrench, and I come in and just put a little tension on there. Just enough to get the job done. Usually just put a little space between that washer and the plastic there. I don't put a lot of tension because you can crease the wood. So just enough to get the job done. There we go. Same thing on this side. All righty. Now, we've got to swap out our blankets. Now we're going to be using the long blanket, which is underneath there. And so we're going to put our power cord on that one. And we want to measure our temperature on that one. So we take our thermocouple, it's going to be measuring the long blanket, plug it in, still using 3 1/4. But the blanket down here is doing no good, is it? So take the little alligator clip there and just clip it up on there so it's doing its job. And you can, here's one for the other side too, if you want to put one on the other end there. And let's go ahead and fire up the long blanket. If you put your hand up in there, Thomas, you can feel, put it underneath there, that's where the blanket is. You can feel it start to get warm fairly quickly, right? Now, the temperature says it's 193, but that's not right. It's picking up some residual stuff off the waist because I've got this up close to the waist. Out here's not 200 degrees yet. So we'll just let it go ahead and get its attitude right. When it gets up to about the boiling point in Colorado, which is what, about 210, 215 or something like that, you'll start to hear it sizzle, and you'll start to see this start to sag just a little bit under its own weight. Once that happens, then we're probably good to go ahead and start tweaking these little rollers here forward. The interesting thing about these rollers, very well designed by LMI, is they roll that blanket into contact with the wood. And so it helps really disperse the heat evenly across the wood there. Hear it start to sizzle? Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you see steam coming out, you're okay. If you see smoke coming out, then something's wrong. It's been a while since I burned up a student's sides. Had a guy one year up at the college toasted his sides. We had all these little thermometers we'd place in there, and he had it in Celsius instead of Fahrenheit. He says, well, it's not the temperature you said, Robbie. What's going on? And the smoke's just pouring out. All right, so reach up there and grab the handles, and just roll it about an inch or two, and just stop. Here it sizzles, it rolls that blanket into contact there. Now, your high stress area is right there and right there. So if it's going to break, that's where it's going to happen.
Okay, so you gave me that side.
That's why I give the student that side, exactly. And every 5 or 10 seconds, just come up here and just roll it forward a little bit. Now, the bad thing about using the benders rather than doing it by hand is you can't really feel the wood giving. You can't feel what's going on. So you just kind of rely on my experience here. Hopefully I've got it right. I've done this before, just once. All right, roll it forward a little bit more. And we're already up to a little over 300 degrees there. Go ahead and just bring it forward. Yep. Now see, we got a little bubble in there. So if we just do that, there we go. See the steam coming out there when it hits there? Look at that. That is steam, right? Not smoke. Now, the longer you leave it in that bender, the drier it gets.
Right.
And especially that brittle flame maple. You want to get that stuff bent. You don't want to dilly-dally. I also find that the less moisture and less heat I use, the fewer ripples I get across the side. And rosewood, any type of wood, especially flat sawn lumber, it starts getting those ripples in there. And on a dread, and this is going to be a dread guitar for those watching, is nice wide body. So it's fairly easy to get those ripples in there. So if you use a little less moisture and a little less heat, it usually takes care of that. All right, now this, we're just kind of in the straight area. So let's just go ahead and just pull it on down like that.
Move these clips off.
Yep, move your clips out of the way. Just go ahead and pull it on down. There we go. That's it. That's good. Now, I don't remember hearing a crack. Did you hear a crack?
No, it sounds good.
Well, the problem is you can't hear it. You find out after the fact. It's like opening up a Christmas present on Christmas morning, figuring out you didn't get what you wanted. That's what happens. All right, so I like to put it through a heat cycle. I'm going to drop the temperature to 250 since today is Monday. If it were Tuesday, we'd do it a little different temperature. But I drop it down to 250, and I'm going to set my alarm on my cell phone here. And I'm going to set this up for a whopping... let's go 12 minutes and 7 seconds. And that 7 seconds is for the bass response, which is a problem on a steel string guitar. You have no bass. And so I think if we get a little extra 7 seconds there, it gives us a little more bass response. I'm kidding, folks. Don't believe that stuff. Not everything you see on the internet is true. So. When the timer goes off, then what I do is I come in and I push that button right there and let it come down to room temperature. Then we'll rinse and repeat with the other side. So Elaine in Tennessee, I hope this is going to be helpful for you. We're going to over and out here, and we're going to get working on some blocks. We're going to glue our blocks in before lunch. Well, Elaine, we're back. We decided to turn the camera on and document all of the broken side we got here. No, I'm kidding. That would never happen, right? So what I do is I just loosen these little rollers. I'm going to swap sides here with you, Thomas. If you just swap over here. Roll that thing up and pull the pin out. You go ahead more, Thomas or Tom? Tom, okay. All right, for the record, it's Tom.
Been called worse.
There you go. There we go. All right, pull your pin out, and just pull that off. We'll loosen this. And now it's a moment of truth. It's like opening up a Christmas present on Christmas morning. You never know what you're going to get. And we're going to try and save this aluminum. We're going to reuse it on the next one. But look at that, not much spring back. Nice. So very carefully open this up. Try and reuse the aluminum on the next one. And if you've been living right, then we usually have no cracks. That means driving the speed limit, paying your taxes on time, heck, even going to church every now and then on Sunday. There we go. All right, I'll take the aluminum. I'll let you have the side. Show it up to the camera there. What do you think, folks? Look at that, huh? And here's our bindings. Look at that. Shoot, man, we're going to have a guitar by Wednesday if we're not careful. It's only Monday, folks, and we're just getting started. All right, let's go ahead and do another one.
Yeah.